experts on financials, right? You're experts on financials and entrepreneurial finance. We will check. So I'm very happy to see you. I've been away for the last 3 weeks. I'm sorry for that, but I've been following everything, and I know you had a super cool battle on the AI, and before that on the Robocops. When I was in South Korea, I had a trip there. In fact, I saw the prototype of the Robocop. So I'm confident their times are coming. And maybe the battle proved this. So we have the pleasure today we will talk about social innovation, social capital as a way to build into the resources of the companies and to see how it creates value for the organizations, for the entrepreneurs, for established companies and all of that. But before that, we have the pleasure to have Professor Philippos, Vitorino Philippos, who is leading the next step of development for those of you who want to move into the career of running your own enterprises. So he runs the Startup Lab, and in fact we are working together with him on this because we're very strong believers in the entrepreneurial streak gene in each one of you. So Professor Philippos will tell us a few words about the course, and just so that for those of you who want to follow it next semester, you'll have a chance to get orientated and maybe decide if you want to pursue or not. So Vitorino, here you go. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you everybody. It is just a few things, so I'm not a professor. So
yes, but it's good to know.
I'm teaching, so I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm teaching, I'm actually an entrepreneur, so as Milena is.
Yes.
And so this is what we run. How many of you are EAP Digital? Okay, you can sleep for the next 10 minutes because it's, so you are forced to come to this course. So sorry for that. So this is your meeting lab. Your meeting lab is compulsory for EAP Digital. For all the others, I would like to advertise this. So it's a kind of an advanced lab. The goal is that you come in, you generate, define, and test your business ideas. And the goal is that at the end, you pitch your business idea. We, let's say, force you or politically correctly stimulate you to be very keen on problems rather than just on solutions. And then once you have identified problems, to look for innovative solutions, not me-too solutions. And by the way, you will develop soft skills automatically. So we will not teach you any soft skills. Soft skills is something that you have embedded in your DNA, but it's just a matter of stimulating this to come up. And how does this work? So basically, it's offered to PhD and master students, eventually bachelors, but the bachelors are sometimes accepted. There will be a call. You have to apply for this. There will be the need of a motivation letter. The nicer your motivation letter, the more chances to be taken. Last year there were more than 200 applicants for 140 seats. Actually, there is not comfortable seats. Let's call it talents. And this year will be, since we think there will be more applicants, we will be probably open to consider 180 people. We will run 3 classes in parallel. And actually, it is not me leading this, but we are co-leading with Milena, Alessandro Rossi, and also Andrea. So we are quite a big team of people running this. 52 nationalities last year, 11 departments. So the motto is leverage diversities and aim for one goal. The one goal is make your demo day nice, make your project to be the best project of the course, because if your project is selected as the best project, you are sponsored by the University of Trento to go to Virginia, so US, to stay there 1 week, and to attend a global innovation challenge in at Virginia University. So this is the first prize, but of course there are also second prize. You can go and see visit some incubators or have some co-working free of charge at local incubators. There are also other prizes, but I think I'm not sure that you go there for prizes. Majority of students go there because it's a lot of fun, by the way. Fun is a good ingredient to learn fast. So how it works? You start with CPS. CPS is a kind of a mantra we have. CPS means customer problem solution. So you cannot say to anybody that you have an idea if you don't have customer problem and solution triplet in your mind. So I have the greatest idea of a fantastic solution to what? To a problem. Who has this problem? Is it important, this problem? So the first thing we will do is a CPS session, so that you start, okay, forks, flowers, okay, this gives you an idea that you can have fun with that. So this is the approach, CPS approach. Always have in mind the problem and the customer before thinking of the solution. Then once you did this, you will have some idea generation module to be more skilled in finding innovative solution to same problems. Then you will have the possibility to pitch your own idea. So nearly 50% of the students pitch their own idea on the basis of the best ideas, and you select the ideas. So we are entitled as coaches to kill some idea or push some other idea, but we never did in the last 5 years. So you select the ideas that will survive and the ideas that have to be killed because they are not good enough. Then let's say there is a idea trading. So the best ideas survive, and you will discuss among yourself the one that will survive. You will discuss who will be your teammates. So there is really a recruiting session, or we call it the capital market. Funny name for it, but they say you will find your team. You will agree who your teammates will be. So it's totally. So we just check that you behave. Usually students do. So we have not to be so cautious of this. We have some funny team building practice, but you very soon become a team. We hit a lot on validation. So it's good to have an idea, it's good to identify the problem, but if the customer does not recognize this is a problem, sorry, game over, you have to start again from another CPS or another C or another D or another S. So validation, we hit on it. There is a pivot or perseverance, so either the customer tell that your idea is good, otherwise you have to adapt and change. This is a small tutorial, but the whole course is organized like this. Very small tutorial and a lot of mentoring. So in particular with validation, after a few, it's a concept on validation, we send you out of the building and check really for the customer that you find. Eventually you can go on create your web page and make questionnaires, but we want also that you meet physically your potential customers. So we don't want that your customer is a small percentage of a big number, but that you have a clear in mind how your customer looks like. So this is a real life exercise. That's the point. And selecting the wrong customer is the first reason for failing in a startup or in an innovative initiative inside a big company. Once you have learned how to validate your idea, and then no more tutorials, then it's just mentoring and teaming. So it's considered as a course, so you have credit out of it, but in reality it's much more mentoring than tutorial, much more team working with the assistance of professional startuppers, so people that are they advanced enough in their career that they live upon their innovation, not famous that the people are writing books on them, but not yet on the on the path of failing. So they are already incorporated some years ago. So they know how you can feel, because this is how they felt they were feeling some years ago. So you are mentored, and then let's say you have some pitch clinics, let's say rough and tough. So you are trained to present your idea the best way, because even the best idea can be not selected, always presented the worst way. So you're there, even semi-finals, and then finally you pitch to an audience of some hundreds of people in the last day. Because there will be a jury, there will be no mentor and no coach in the jury. So whoever assisted you to become stronger is not evaluating you, because we finally get a kind of a parental love with you, so kind of a Stockholm syndrome. So we step out, and you are valued by the jury. Is usually one investor, one startup, one director of an incubator, sometimes one academic, sometimes not. So people from the outside world will really value yourself. Then the final score is also linked a bit to your progress, but the pitch is valued by people that see you for the first time. That's why the quality of the pitch is very important. So this is how you start usually, and this is how you end up to be. No, very nice. Oh, cool. So I hope that you all become like this. Otherwise, you are eaten somewhere in the back. Well, and this is the first prize. So this is the goal. So the goal is to be the best project and to go to Virginia. A lot of so far, this will be, I think, the 6th edition. So many teams have gone to Virginia, and the challenge is open because 2 years ago the Trento team won. You usually battle with 23, 25 nations, and 2 years ago Trento won the global challenge in Virginia. And some more years ago, by the way, the first prize is $25,000 for you. So no tax, no money back to us. So it's not that. No, you can also go on holiday. So they are not asking equity of your company. So it's a nice holiday to aim to. And there is also a second prize that is called People Choice. So if the jury didn't select, but the people think that you have the best project, it's $5,000. And this is the team that went last year. They didn't win, but it was a good chance. Okay, so that's all. Now you can go to your lessons. For EIT Digital, sorry to say, but you are forced to go through this course. So you are forced in this area. But okay, all the others, please. I would like you to register. It's a life experience. Lots of students are quite happy the way they end up, regardless of the scores of the exam. But they like the experience, because what you learn is not something that is scholastically correct. You learn something that is good for your life. Either you become an entrepreneur, or you go into a company, and you are involved in innovation inside this company. It's tremendously working. So when we recruit people in our company, my company, we look to the sparkling eyes of the people. Because if they are good or not in their domain expertise, they can learn. If they have not the sparkling in the eyes, they can even die without the sparkle. So we try to recruit the guys that have what we call the entrepreneurial proactive act. So the will to succeed, the will to engage, the will to take the challenge and go forward. Okay, that's it. So advertising is finished. Now we go to the real talk. Thank you so much. I hope to see you all in Saturday. Thank you.
Can we repeat the deadlines?
Oh yeah, deadlines are not exactly defined, but let's say more or less the deadline. So the challenge will be open more or less end of the year. The selection will, so the application deadline is will be mid-January, most likely, and the course will start end of February. Yes, end of February. And the course will end, so the demo day is usually last days of June, last day of May, or eventually first day of June, so before your exam starts. And the challenge in Virginia is mid of August. So you go there, you are hosted by the Virginia University, the travel is paid by UVM. You are mentored by Americans, entrepreneurs or academics of the Virginia, and then you have the demo day. If you have any question or any doubt.
And just like to add, but we have been experiencing a lot of presentation, but this will be a new way of presenting that usually, it's one person. We ask maybe the team to present, but here we've been doing presentations and the battles, so they are already trained in being grilled on stage.
I know.
Or by the audience.
Yes, I love the battles. I love the way they are managed. I love the idea of the battles, so that we will learn how to become the representative party, like in the UK government. So good.
Yes.
So I know that you will be skilled. So you are half grown-up lions. So that's great. Good way to start.
All right,
Okay.
please teenagers of this.
Right.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So today we will talk about something that actually is a newer element in the way we perceive the ideas. It's a newer view in the way we perceive the resources of companies. And it's the so-called social capital, of how through our networks or our actually contacts and something that you cannot touch, that is intangible, we can create value for the organizations, and how this value actually can be somehow represented or formatted later on in the way we develop our business model as a company. So I will tell you that in my experience, because I have started 3 different organizations, I was participating in the creation of a very big organization, which was an American university. And there, I joined when I had 0 experience in this sector, just very fresh graduate, so I had no prior knowledge or understanding of what it means to run on a university. And the university, which is very clearly, it's set up like an enterprise, because the American type of universities require that you're actually sustainable financially, and that you manage this organization in a way that it continues to deliver the value. And if it does not do a good job with the teaching and with the education, it actually would fail. So it's a very good example of a social enterprise, but run in a very sustainable manner. So this was one very big organization. There, I was just fresh graduate, and I had to run an organization, to build it from scratch, and to participate in the recruitment and raising of $5 million, for which I was responsible within 1 year, as well as to spend it. Okay, so this is one example. Another one is I started a company from zero again, with $100 in the bank account. And then it went to, over the years, to profit. And the third one, I was part of another organization where I was responsible again for raising the funds. But in all of these situations, from my own experience, I will tell you, the only thing I had in the beginning was what were the resources that we were saying we have as entrepreneurs? What are the resources we have at hand? Yeah, or qualification. And sorry? Mentality, that could be, or your attitude. And the other thing is your relations, your network. Because this is actually where you are leveraging your attitude, your knowledge with the others. And this seems to be really critical for the way a lot of the new organizations or the new enterprises are starting, and also for the way we actually can participate in the product development. So let's look at what the social capital means. What is a social capital, and how actually it can benefit the organization, be it an established or be it a startup. There is importance of the social capital both for the very established organizations, in cases we will see when, and also for the emerging companies, like I was giving you some of the examples. So what are the views on social capital? Social capital, for some people, is actually the accumulation of active connections among people in a network. And as you can see, some of the people that actually are being quoted here, it's quite a recent thought on the matter. It's because this subject matter actually hasn't been explored so much, but it is gaining more and more value with the advancement of digitalization and the sharing economy. So, on the one hand, some people think that the social capital actually represents your network of contact. This is what it says. Another trend of thought says that the sum of actual and embedded within and that are available in the network of these, the network, either for an organization or for an individual in these relationships, is actually representing, so the resources are the ones that represent the social capital for an organization. So the resources that are the basis for the relationship are considered to be the social capital for an organization. Now, these views actually are which one, like often with the chicken and the egg, which one is the first, and which one is predominant, which one leads to the other. So some people think the set of resources are based on the relationships, and they are the reason why we have social capital that leads to the creation of the capitalization of these resources into relationships. And other people think the other way around, that the set of relationships actually create the resources. So, like often, these people are fighting, but I also tend to embrace that view that the social capital comprises both the resources and the network of the people or the relationships that are being involved in the creation of the company or in the expansion of a bigger organization. So, social capital, in the more recent view, represents an ideal means for founders. What exactly does it bring to the organization? It would be a great way for founders to utilize the resources necessary for the firm formation, for the initial start of an organization or of an enterprise. So it's how you put all of the resources together in an efficient way so that it helps you with the launch, with the formation of an organization. And also, the other view that the new firms rely on a variety of resources from their partners also to continue living, expanding, and for growing. So they are important both for the renewal of organizations and also for the formation of organizations. And these are people you have further explored, who are interested in this, who are involved in that research. Now, when we talk about social capital and the relationships, there is also the view that the capital is created as a result of relationships within the social structures of a collective, which is most often for bigger organizations or established, or it is the relationship with the external other organizations or other partners or other network participants. So the ones that are outside of the organization. And often, when we talk about these relationships, of course, they exist on a continuum from a more informal way to a way where they're formalized. And the more formalized they are, of course, the bigger impact they will have later on, either on the new entities that are being formed or on the new way you relate with the other partners that are part of your network. So in this case, one of the most evident and most maybe beneficial elements of such partnerships, relationship, is the one on strategic alliances. And we will look at how these strategic alliances, so if you look at the continuum, there are variations in how the organizations are forming these alliances and structuring these relationships. And the place where the strategic alliance actually is happening is more or less on the middle of that continuum, from more informal to a formal relationship between the organizations. So a strategic alliance, what is a strategic alliance? It is an association between two or more firms that agree to cooperate with one another to achieve mutually compatible goals, and that would be difficult to achieve if they are to do it on their own. And this is very important. And the reason why I'm focusing on this, and we will now look at some examples, is because in the current environment, there are more and more examples of where companies or industries are also joining resources, coming together, forming these strategic alliances, and new forms of products, new industries, also big disruption, and even new spaces are being conquered in this way. So strategic alliances alliances also. But strategic alliances are becoming critical, for example, the development of the shared economy. This is where you see them exhibited. In the development also of circular economy, and also in approaching and conquering new worlds, even when you go out to space. So what are the ways that the social capital is benefiting the organization? So it's a way of exploiting business opportunity where the entrepreneur may not have the skills or the knowledge or the resources in-house in the organization. It's another way to mutually leverage and get advantage for new areas. And the third way would be that the partners actually can form a new team that is based again on joint competencies, so that they are not able to follow within their own structures or their own organization, and they pursue new opportunities together. Let's look at some examples. So the forms of cooperation, if we look at the continuum here, so let's see, this is the continuum. On one hand, the form of cooperation is the market transaction, and on this side is actually the acquisition. And so if we look, some of the ways for market transaction are the ones that you know of. Let's say outsourcing is something. What is outsourcing? Can someone try to probe and give me an example of outsourcing? Which industries actually use outsourcing?
IT.
That would be a form of cooperation, of social capital, of building on the relationship that you have with other partners for an organization. Which industry? Yes. IT industries. Often, especially recently, there are destinations or there are countries that represent actually a big chunk of the outsourcing destinations or industries. Which ones could they be? India has been one. Yes. Another one? China has been an outsourcing destination for what? For production. Okay? So it's a form of, even governments have been collaborating or cooperating and turning one market, a real transaction for that cooperation of one country with another country. Yes? Somebody else? What other one? Can you think of other ones?
My country, the communications providers are the call centers like in Colombia.
So they are outsourcing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is because they're from Colombia. So the people there's more experience of the clients where I'm just explaining something.
Okay, in their culture, maybe they have a know-how how to deal better for customer satisfaction. Let's say, or addressing customer retention and satisfaction, or certain skills. Okay, so outsourcing is one element. Another is one option. So it would go here, outsourcing. Another one is licensing. What is licensing? Yes, licensing. If we think of another approach, where can we see licensing? In what industries? Can you give me an example of licensing? Sorry? Again, software could be one. Entertainment, music industry. All right. Yes?
Also, service providers. Service providers
Yes. Insurance? Insurances? Okay. Health insurance? So there must be. What about doctors? Lawyers. You know, they also follow the international audit companies. They must have a license to register you for this. Okay, so taxi drivers or others, even hairdressers. You know, they must have a license. Okay, so these would be forms of collaboration, but instead of actually the company, instead of investing in the production of certain things, they do outsource. So they work with somebody else who prepares the real product for them, and then they take it and work with it. But they do not export or they do not cooperate in the whole sphere of activities with these other organizations. And then on the other spectrum is the acquisition. So it's when, I think in the last class, you have talked about joint ventures and acquisitions, mergers, acquisitions, more or less. So what is the acquisition? What did you learn last time? Where does the acquisition occur? Yes, what? Yes. Yes. In the acquisition, what happens with the assets of the company? Yes. Do they belong to the same company or they? You give part of your equity. Okay. So you give a share of your equity. What is the equity? Yes? What is the equity?
acquisition.
No, equity, not the acquisition. Your shares, your capital. All right. So on the one side of the spectrum is the outsourcing. So you have no participation in this cooperation in terms of assets. And on the other side is the acquisition, the merger or acquisition, where you're actually completely buying out the equity. So in this middle ground, from here to here, is the space where the alliances are formed. And in this, usually the strategic alliances are formed when organizations need to do joint R&D. They need to work on new product development. They usually get into new markets, or they form a joint venture where they actually share, in different ways, the shares of these new alliance, of this new cooperation. And so, depending on how much of this they share, yes, they actually achieve different levels of strategic alliance. So, with the alliances, we can achieve several things. One is, we said, access to knowledge. It was in the previous one of the previous slides. Access to knowledge of certain competence or learning that we do not have individually in the organization. And usually, this leads to sharing a common R&D approach between the organizations. So this leads to complementary technology or certain know-how. So this could be one area. And let's try to look at some examples of where you think organizations have shared or have done common research and shared know-how, and where this is applied. Can you try to think of? So, in organizations form strategic alliances in order to develop a shared R&D or shared competence, know-how, that actually boosts, that is not belonging to either one of them, and this is how they complement each other. They combine their resources and they work together toward that. Yes?
If they from the home, what they expect, what they confident
They in the strategic alliance, they have degrees of common share. They don't fully go either one of them. But there are ways, but they determine what is the ratio of ownership between the two. And often, because they don't have the capacity, each one of them on their own to do this, they join resources and competencies in order to build this new R&D.
Therefore, if you join, there's no probability that you want to create.
Yes, that could be also.
But if you begin joining,
Don't go into, can you think of examples where new R&D is formed? You think, where could it be? A real example. It exists around us a lot. Sorry? Fiat and Chrysler. Okay. I think it's yes. What about, sorry? R&D. And why would they need another one? From which sector? Okay, that is one of the good examples. For example, I was just telling you that I was in South Korea, and I was struck by how quickly the biggest telecommunication company there, the South Korean Telecom, is now going into so many different other fields, diversifying their portfolio of products, and this is really based on the explosion of IoT. So they're going into the telecommunications company. If you thought about this 2 or 3, 4 years ago, would you think that the telecommunications company would be a big player in the gas stations, in the batteries, in the in the energy efficiency? You wouldn't. But they're there. They're in all of the spaces of the cyber physical systems. because they are using the latest R&D research in their space. Okay, they're exploring with a new frequency that is called LoRa, that I never heard of. But based on that, they're actually creating meters, gas stations, they're creating new objects for smartphones, they're creating even cosmetics products and things like that. So this is one area where companies, based on strategic alliances, they actually form and come up with the latest research and development that actually takes them to another level that they cannot afford themselves to do on their own. Another approach for these strategic alliances is to get to new markets, or is the internationalization of organizations or companies. So, if for that purpose, usually what they do is they look for a local partner that has the knowledge about that market, and they form a strategic alliance with that partner, therefore identifying that it's a priority for them at a certain moment. And sometimes this has the pros and it has the cons. So it has benefits, but also sometimes could be restrictive. Yes, you have a question?
Say that, for example, Google that is trying to push his own device on a smartphone on the market, but still he's collaborating like with LG or other smartphone producers, but still I think how can we consider this collaboration to be just outsourcing, or maybe some more R&D merging something? Because
So Google is pushing their own devices.
yes, but
How are they pushing it?
they are letting these, they're collaborating with these companies to build the hardware, and they sort of optimize their software on this code.
It's a strategic alliance for them. Because they're not outsourcing them, because if it is outsourcing, they're telling them, you make it for us, we buy from you. The right, right. But they're trying to work together with them, right? But they're giving them part of the job that they don't want to do, that actually would be maybe cheaper if they just pay for it and get it ready as a product. Right? Am I... do you have come? So, for example, if I remember, I was in the States when Apple, when the iPhone the first time was started, and I remember I wanted to get the iPhone. And I went, and they told me, if you get it, it comes with a contract, an agreement with AT&T. So if you are not, if you do not belong to AT&T, if you are not, this is not your operator, actually you cannot take that phone away from the US. And they were restricting the use of the iPhone, you know, to only users who were subscribers to AT&T. And this became actually a case later on, in business case. Did Apple apply the best strategy? Because this was a strategic alliance. They signed a strategic alliance between AT&T and iPhone, and they had to give up because AT&T put a condition to this. They said, we will work with you, we will maybe do some changes to our agreements, maybe we will give you some advantage, but you should not go with anybody else. You should be with us. So this was a restriction. What do you think? Were they right or not? What? Can I hear some opinions? Let's hear somebody else. What do you think?
It depends what Apple, what improvement get Apple from the others.
Do you think they were right in restricting and signing a strategic alliance with, such a collaboration only with them?
It was a user limitation for Apple.
Yeah.
Because maybe other companies can offer a better option.
But initially, this was seen as the only way for them to proceed, because otherwise they were afraid that if they didn't have the guarantee to have that, target group, secured, maybe somebody could have come to copy, you know. Also, they had no knowledge about that market. You know, they were up to that moment, they were producing, you know, the computers, you know, the iPod, but they were not in the telecom industry. So this was a new way for them to open a market in which they were not specialized. And gaining the knowledge or the competence and the expertise of that market, they tried that this would be secured. Somebody else to say what they think? Yes?
I think it was a quite good idea because they tried to propagate something, because we have to remember that by that time they were not so famous. So using a company that was already established allowed us to get the client base, to get, I think, some funding.
Yes, and also a real understanding, because this was a completely new product on the market, how to break, so to get into a new market, access to new market, and also internationalization.
They even got two different type of lock-in, because from one side we got out of the lock-in because people couldn't go out of the United States with their phone, and
Yes.
that's what they wanted at the beginning, to manage the market, I think. And then from the other side we had the ATM, because they had the
AT&T,
lock-in.
it was AT&T, yeah. Because AT&T at that time was really the biggest telecom in the world.
But,
and they had that expertise that no other mobile or bigger telephone company.
They had the exclusive on the product that was
Yes.
iPhone. So
Because
we got a lock-in.
they had a bigger market share. So this also achieves the efficiency or the scaling up. Sometimes if you create such a strategic alliance with somebody, you can do the upscale of in a certain market or let's say in a certain industry, you can achieve that. Another way would be if clients, yes, somebody had a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Once they close to other countries, I mean in this case, so for example, we cannot really say you're not able to buy the products or we are focused.
This was restricting. But what they wanted to do at that time, I also thought that they were making a mistake. But hey, who am I to tell them, the guys, But what they wanted to do is they wanted to make sure they are established on the American market, because they decided this is a product that requires sophistication. They would need more innovators, and the other markets were not so developed with these products. So this way, they were at least guaranteeing that on their US, North America, is quite of a big market. They were guaranteeing that at least they would have secured a certain market share with this strategic alliance. Yes? There was a
And as far as I know, they are no longer restricted.
They are not. This was in the beginning, but this was a contract that they had for 2 years, and I remember everyone who wanted to go to get the iPhone was really protesting and saying, how could you be so crazy? There was a lot of criticism. In the end, their strategy actually worked for them, at least for that time. So also, another way through strategic alliances to satisfy a need or not a demand, which means to provide clients with very specific tailored solutions that are not actually clear at the moment when, or given the products that the company has. So let's say, let's think of a way that customers would actually want a tailored solution to something rather than a concrete product or service. Can we try to think of a way or an example in this case? ERP. What you have? Another example? Another example? Can you think of? That is not a demand for a specific thing, but is actually a tailored, a very tailored solution. Yeah, it's a need that doesn't exist. I've given that example before with. No, there is a need. No one's been in that space. So there is a need, but there isn't, it's not a market demand. There is a need. And this is a way for clients to actually be given tailored solutions. I've given you that example before of the mobile phones in Africa. You know that there was a real need for some kind of communication form, and this was really a tailored approach solution because there was not enough money for investment in infrastructure, in the landline phones structure of a country, and there was some strategic alliances between certain governments and the mobile operators or some others to provide a solution for communication. Google provided, remember? Yes. And if you think in the very recent times, when there was the tsunami or the hurricane, what was in the Virgin Islands and the Caribbean, who gave the response? One of the companies said that they would provide, yes, I think it was Google actually, that they said they will provide all of the infrastructure, okay, that they will work with the government to provide resources, even in Puerto Rico, in one of the states, in order to come up with a solution, because there were not that many options for them to rebuild so quickly. So this could be one example. And the last one is, of course, when you want to mitigate a little bit the risk or to share the risk, you actually put resources together. That could be a way, also a very good example of a strategic alliance when it works together. So you can see in this case that what happens is that the social capital, which is in the form of relationships in the network, of your established, let's say, way of communicating with external partners or with your internal resources in an internal network of partners, actually could create a critical value for the success or for the development of the company or not. And so, I will tell you that one of other examples in the new product development, if you look at all of the car makers in the automobile industry, they have been building strategic alliances with some of the other players in other industries, and that way they upgrade and respond to a new need on the market of customers that are used to now using these devices or having their smartphones and using the IoT, and so they upgrade the cars to respond to that need, building them and working with their strategic partners on this. Another example has been in the sports goods, in the like Adidas, Goodyear. We can think of many other examples. I will not give them now, but if you look around, you will see that the current model of the way organizations work, actually they're truly based on partnerships, more and more so than it used to be 10, 15 years ago. And the last thing I wanted to make a comment is that actually up to now, it's usually being considered that if the organizations are powerful, if they're strong, if they come up with a new product, they join resources, they would usually succeed. But often it's underestimated that the operational and cultural differences sometimes can actually turn the carriage upside down, or they can trip that alliance, and sometimes it may not succeed due to some of these factors that are part of the DNA or the culture of an organization. So given this, that's why there have been actually failures, and we can look at some of these examples. Yes?
I have a question about this spin-off. Is a result of the alliance?
Spin-off is a different, it's an open innovation model, or it's another approach to innovation within organizations. It's not a result of it. It's maybe a result of the collaboration and looking for new ways, but it's not an alliance. Okay, we can now.
Break.
Yes, take.
Till 3:15, I would say. 5 minutes break, and then we start again.
Yes.
Please be back at 3:50 sharp, because we have some other things to do for which we need to be a bit punctual. Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Artistic entrepreneurship in some way. So we have Ivan Danteri, who is a director for theater. We have Fausto Bonfanti, who is an artistic operator. He organizes concerts and events. Then we have Silvia Maturana-Cruzа, who's behind there. She's an actress. And Deborah Bonacta, who also works with Fausto in the artistic field. Okay? So they're going to be introducing themselves a bit. They're going to be present what they do. And then they have some intervention, unfortunately, in Italian, and I will translate it into English. Okay? All right. So, we can start with the video. So we start with a video which they made from last year.
dalla preistoria ai tempi dei Romani a quelli dei principi vescovi fino ai tempi del mausoleo di Cesare Battisti e della strada eroica degli Alpini, domina Piedicastello, il sobborgo più fascinoso di Trento, la porta di Trento.
di si fatta resta scullata, nu cappielle che naste che rose, stivi in mezzo a 3 o 4 chantose, e parlava francese e a così fu la triera che t'aggia incontrata, fu la triera a Tulete gnorsi, aggia voluto bene a te, tu mi hai voluto bene a me, ma non c'è mamma più, mai voto tu, distrattamente pensa a me, regina, quando stive mica, non mangiava che pane e cerase, noi campavamo e vase, e che vase, tu cantavi e pianivi per me, e io cardille cantava tutti, reginella, ovo bene e asturre, aggia voluto bene a te, tu mi hai voluto bene a me, ma non c'è mamma più, mai voto tu, distrattamente pensa a me.
Incanti, un progetto che va oltre la visione del teatro tradizionale, che va oltre il teatro di parola, che studia gli spazi attraverso la memoria del luogo, trasformando l'architettura della città per farla rivedere con un altro sguardo.
Incanti, which is the project they are presenting, is a project that goes beyond the traditional vision of theater and towards transforming and reinterpreting the spaces and the memories of the places in which they put this project into place.
Dove attori professionisti entrano in diretta relazione con le persone del luogo, con la tradizione del luogo e con i teatri amatoriali del luogo, musica, danza, teatro.
This is a project in which professional actors get to interact with the local store, local places in the means of people, local theatrical scene, musical, and other artistic entities, let's say.
Innovazione nel teatro significa riappropriarsi del linguaggio del corpo e metterlo in relazione con quello spazio, creando qualità di energie che trasformano lo spazio.
So innovation in a theatrical sense is to use the language of the body, matching it with the language of the world, and using it to usare il linguaggio del corpo per space.
Usare il linguaggio del corpo per trasformare le qualità di energia di quello spazio.
To transform the qualities and the energies of the space in which we're performing.
E in questo sta il cambio di volume, ma che non è soltanto un cambio di volume, ma un cambio di qualità di energia che passa attraverso il corpo.
And this is where the change in tone, but also in qualities and in energy is put in the performance and in the space in which it is being done, through the language of the body.
Quindi una possibilità di innovazione sta nel fatto che quando una cantante passa attraverso uno spazio,
so a possibility for innovation goes in a way for, like, take an example, a singer that crosses a space.
Il mio corpo non rimane morto,
my body is not dead,
ma gira l'attenzione nella direzione in cui viene la voce.
but turns itself to follow the voice and to follow the direction where the voice is coming from.
Significa studiare lo spazio
It means that you study the space
e vedere come queste linee di energia
and you see how these lines of
possono
energy
avere un movimento circolare,
have a circular motion, circular,
e come creare dei ponti
and
attraverso il corpo
how to bridge
in
these.
modo che tutto diventi un campo magnetico.
Okay, how to bridge these motions with their body to create some sort of a magnetic field as a whole.
Questo è molto importante anche per come mantenere l'attenzione quando io presento o una tesi di laurea o presento come professore la mia lezione, come fare questi cambi e riportare un'altra qualità di energia all'interno di questo campo magnetico che si sta creando.
And managing the flow of attention and the flow of movement is how you is also very relevant when you are presenting a thesis, when you're delivering a lecture, and is effectively a way to manage this sort of magnetic field which we are creating with our directions.
E grazie a questo il teatro entra in comunicazione con quegli strani esseri che chiamiamo diversamente abili, ma che non sono un mondo a parte, ma una parte del mondo.
And this is also a way in which the theater can involve and can make contact with people that we call diversamente abili in Italian, which is in some way politically more correct form to say disabled people. How do you say it in English? Disabled people, and to involve them in the theater in a way so that they don't become a world aside, but they become an integral part of our world.
Che magari non hanno l'utilizzo della parola, non hanno le capacità intellettuali dell'arte, ma attraverso il sentire e attraverso il linguaggio del corpo è possibile trovare altri livelli di comunicazione. Questa è innovazione.
So, in some way, these people might not have the same use of the language which we use, might not have the same use of the intellect which we do, but finding a way to bridge between their world and the way in which we perform and in which we interact is a way to do innovation in the theater.
Quindi come trovare dei compagni di viaggio, quello che stavate facendo nella lezione precedente, come trovare dei compagni di viaggio che hanno le buone intenzioni di investire capitali in una scommessa sociale. Quindi come industrie, amministrazioni e più ne ha più ne metta possono decidere di investire in qualcosa che è sociale e che aiuta a migliorare l'ambiente esterno e la comunicazione tra i diversi esseri umani.
So this is a way to do innovation in the sense that you do not only perform and try to find other subjects, but you also try to bridge the realities in which they come from. Following the examples of the lecture before, you need to find people that can accompany you in your vision and can follow you in your vision. So it's following your vision not just for a sense of singular people, but also from a sense of industry, organizations, institutions, social groups that you can in some way onboard to your vision and carry forward to create and share this form of language with all of them.
Ma anche per questo siamo qui, per chiedere aiuto e quindi per trovare dei compagni di viaggio tra di voi che possano insieme con noi dare vita a quel campo magnetico che avete visto all'interno delle gallerie di Via di Castello e quindi trovare 1, 2, 10 di voi che vogliono partecipare a questa avventura con una visione alternativa di utilizzo dello spazio e di creazione di energia nello spazio, che significa fuori e dentro gli spazi dedicati.
Okay, so they're also here to ask you if you want to join them and to accompany them in this travel, which is in the way which you have seen in the video before, again happening in the Galleria di Via di Castello, which if you know from Trento you always see that small mountain with the white temple on top. Running underneath that small mountain is this Galleria di Via di Castello, which is a museum. And they're doing this again, and they want to ask if there's 1, 2, any people that want to join them in this vision to express interest in some way.
Alla ricerca di un altro sguardo.
And this is a project which in some way matches all the vision which you have read before about reading the space, creating this this flow of energy in some way. And this is something searching for a new look, for a new point of view, for a new perspective.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Ho una caratteristica che mi emoziona quando devo parlare con altre persone, quindi
So he gets a bit emotional when he's speaking in front of the public, so forgive him for this.
si parlava del valore dell'arte o del valore, dopo mi leggerò alcuni pensieri che ho scritto e che riesco molto più bene a fissare cosa scrivendo, non mi intervenivo qua, però
So we were speaking about the value of art and the value of social innovation, but he has written some of his thoughts on a piece of paper, so because he is better at reading something than improvising.
molti di noi quando ci chiedono che lavoro facciamo,
So many of us, when they ask us, what job do you do?
rispondiamo gli artisti o i creativi,
We answer that we are artists, that we are creative people,
i creatori nel mondo dell'arte e della creatività, l'attore, il musicista.
artistic operators, we are artists, we are musicians.
Dalle nostre mamme in giù ci chiedono, no, abbiamo chiesto il lavoro, non il divertimento.
And from our moms onwards, they ask, no, what is your job, not what do you do as a hobby.
È vero che abbiamo la fortuna che il nostro lavoro può generare divertimento, sia a noi sia a chi assiste.
And we are so lucky that our line of work is one that allows us to entertain and to have fun in our work for us and for those that are assisting our performances.
Però abbiamo anche un compito molto importante,
But we have a very important duty,
che è quello di raccontare delle cose che possono toccare le persone.
which is that of telling some information and some stories to people that touch them emotionally when they take part into them.
Anzi direi che devono toccare le persone che assistono, altrimenti l'arte e la creatività perde il suo significato se non riesce a toccare.
And it's not only that they can do this, that they should and they must do this, because otherwise arts lose their meaning if they are not able to create some emotion.
Siamo abituati a essere visti come persone che non hanno un valore economico all'interno della società.
And this is something which in society is seen as not profitable, without an economic value.
Però noi sappiamo che il nostro valore all'interno del nostro lavoro all'interno della società ha un grande valore.
But we know that our work in the society has a huge value.
Questo che avete visto in Canti è nato per far vedere anche come la creatività e l'arte
And Incanti, which is the video of the project which you have seen, was born to also prove how art and creativity
possono intervenire sul territorio urbano, in uno spazio urbano,
can take root in an urban space and in an urban territory
e trasformarlo,
and transform it,
far emergere l'invisibile di quel territorio,
making what is not visible in that territory emerge.
la memoria,
The memory,
la storia delle persone che lo popolano, che lo abitano,
the history of the people that inhabit it and live it,
i sogni, le speranze e le aspettative.
dreams, hopes, expectations.
Quindi è sì un lavoro artistico, è sì un lavoro creativo, ma anche un grande lavoro sociale che può avere anche una grande ricaduta economica.
So it is a creative, it's an artistic work, but since it is an artistic and creative work, it's also social work, which if done correctly can have a huge economic impact on the
Soprattutto
territory.
se noi per economia intendiamo il benessere di ogni persona, dei cittadini.
And especially if we integrate in our definition of economical wealth, the welfare and how a person feels and lives.
Quindi siamo orgogliosi del nostro essere saltimbanchi,
So we are proud to be showmen,
ma siamo più orgogliosi di contribuire a tenere forte quel valore che individua nell'arte, nella creatività, il valore del bene comune.
but we're even more proud to be those people that through art and creativity city give a real value to the common goods, to the common places which we have.
Una città, un paese, una nazione senza cultura, senza arte è triste, è grigia.
A city, a territory, a nation without art, without culture is gray, is dull, it's boring.
Sappiamo tutti noi che è più importante che ci siano degli ospedali che funzionino e che ci sia del pane per tutti.
And we all know that it's more important to have working hospitals and to have bread and food for everybody.
Ma come accennava prima anche Ivan,
but how Ivan was saying, in the same way that Ivan was saying before,
noi amiamo lavorare dove ci sono difficoltà, amiamo entrare negli ospedali.
We love also to work in those situations in which there's more struggle. We love to work in the hospitals.
Il nostro compito è entrare in luoghi dove c'è sofferenza, dove c'è voglia di riscatto.
And our duty is also to go into those places in which there is suffering and there is a will to a revenge, a will to go forward. And
questo perché? Per riaffermare che stiamo lavorando in una cosa che si chiama, in un settore che va considerato come un bene comune, come l'acqua, come il diritto alla sanità.
And this is something we do to reaffirm that the sector in which we're working, culture and arts, is a common good and a common welfare as much as it is that of health, water or natural resources.
In alcuni parchi della città di Trento,
so in some parks and some gardens of the city of Trento,
sono stati spesi alcuni milioni di euro.
We spent some millions of euros
per mettere delle telecamere.
Okay, so some millions of euros have been spent to put cameras and video recorders in these parks.
Questo era stato giustificato per dare sicurezza, per creare sicurezza al cittadino, una risposta come ordine pubblico.
And the justification of this was to create security for the citizen and to keep public order.
A noi sembrava eccessivo questa spesa.
We think this expense was in many ways excessive.
E nel nostro piccolo, con tanti altri collaboratori, perché la creatività è anche saper creare relazioni dove prima non ce n'erano.
And in our way, with many other collaborators, since creativity is also that of creating relationships where the relationships were not there.
Abbiamo pensato che forse il modo migliore per rendere tranquillo il cittadino in un parco è quello di farlo vivere quel parco, di frequentarlo quel parco.
We thought that the way to make a public area secure is for a citizen is not that of putting cameras, but that of making it livable and making it frequented and making it a place where people want to.
Abbiamo creato momenti di incontro dove c'erano spettacoli per bambini, con laboratori per bambini, momenti di musica per i giovani, momenti di ballo per gli anziani. Abbiamo creato vari momenti che noi chiamiamo quella che si pensa definire arte dell'incontro.
And in these places, we have created some occasions in which to meet people, so and from all age ranges. So activities for kids, music for young people, and also dances for older people. And this is in some way it fits in their vision of creating the art of getting together.
Noi abbiamo ricevuto dei finanziamenti molto più piccoli che quei 2 milioni di euro che hanno avuto le telecamere.
And the financing for this has been way smaller than the 2 million euros to put cameras in all the parks.
Però parlando anche con i cittadini, parlando con le persone che sono tornate a frequentare quei parchi, abbiamo creato un valore forte. E è ritornato il senso di appartenenza, la voglia di vivere un luogo.
But by speaking with the same citizens that were going back to those parks and going there, we saw that we have reanimated them and we have brought again the will to go to those places.
La capacità di passare dalla paura del diverso, che sono quelli che frequentano questi luoghi nascosti.
This is an ability, and this is some way we have created a way to shift from the fear of the different, that there are those people that normally go to those places, and in some way constitute the bad people that go there.
Passare dalla paura del diverso alla voglia di conoscerlo.
And shifting from fearing these people to wanting to meet them and know them.
E magari anche di fare qualcosa insieme con le persone.
And maybe do something together with these people.
Questa cosa è successa in Incanti.
This happened in Incanti.
È successa in queste manifestazioni che abbiamo fatto nei parchi, sta succedendo da qualche anno nei progetti che riusciamo a mettere.
And this happens in Icanti, it happens in the parks, it happens all the projects in which they have been putting forward these years.
Siamo riusciti anche a coinvolgere delle persone che vivevano in quei parchi perché erano senza fissa dimora o perché fuori da casa dei genitori o perché magari con una loro debolezza che era quella dell'alcol o di droghe.
And we also involved as part of our teams some people which were in those parks and maybe were without a home, they were homeless, they had some issues with alcohol, with drugs. We onboarded them.
E alcuni hanno lavorato con noi, e alcuni stanno ancora lavorando con noi. Hanno trovato un senso.
And some of them work with them and they are still working with them and they found a meaning.
Un senso anche alla loro sofferenza.
A meaning to their suffering.
E quindi ci sentiamo che nel nostro piccolo siamo riusciti ad affrontare quella che viene chiamata emergenza.
And we think that in some way we have found a way to face what is called now an emergency.
O quello che viene chiamato degrado.
Or what is called urban degradation.
Siamo riusciti ad affrontarlo in maniera positiva.
And we have been able to face this emergency, which of course migrants and all of this, in a positive manner.
Questo può essere il valore dell'arte.
And this is the way in which art can have a value.
Della creatività e della cultura.
And the same goes for creativity and culture in another sense.
E chiedo a voi di farmi, come mi sono fatto io, una domanda.
And he asks you to make yourself a question.
Come ha avuto un valore mettere quelle telecamere in quei parchi? Hanno anche un valore economico, una ricaduta sul benessere del cittadino aver fatto queste azioni, aver fatto questo tipo di iniziative, aver coinvolto centinaia di persone come Icanti, anche quello una dignità di valore economico, di ricaduta sociale.
So if we say that putting cameras in a park has an economic value, the question is, do you think that it has in some way a similar economic fallout and a similar economic value, that of revitalizing the park, revitalizing the city through arts and through creativity and involving all these people?
Non guardo salti gli appunti perché penso di essere stato già troppo lungo e spero di aver detto qualcosa di sensato.
And one last thing, just by skipping the notes, because he thinks it's been long enough and just wants to give you one last input.
A noi ci hanno guidato delle visioni, ci hanno guidato la passione, la voglia di scoprire e di conoscere.
We have been guided by our vision, we have been guided by our passion and our will to know what we do.
Per me, adesso parlo particolarmente, ma credo che per molti che mi sono vicini nel cammino che affronto ormai da tanti anni, è una meravigliosa caccia al tesoro.
For me personally, and for the people that are sharing this experience with me, it's like a scavenger hunt.
Come diceva mio povero padre, anche quando ero a Bologna al DAMS, diceva mio povero padre, ti sei scelto un lavoro che è molto meglio che andare in fabbrica.
And as my dad said back when I was studying at the university in Bologna, well, you found a job which is much better than working in a factory.
Però non mi sono mai dimenticato di questo lavoro.
But I never forgot about those that do work in a factory.
In questo entusiasmo sono anch'io il primo che soffre del fatto che spesso il nostro lavoro viene considerato come superfluo, senza un valore, a costo zero.
And in spite of my enthusiasm, I'm often someone that suffers in first person the fact that our work and our value is not considered. It's done as something which is a zero cost.
Ho sempre detto, sono io che scelgo se sono a costo zero. Se devo lavorare con i disabili, con dei ragazzi che mi danno molto a me, di più di quello che do loro, se devo lavorare in un carcere, se devo lavorare in un ospedale con dei bambini che devo dargli un po' di speranza in momenti di tristezza, posso decidere io se vado a costo zero.
And his opinion is that if somebody is to be taking at zero cost for free, it should be their own decision. It should be their own decision if going into a hospital to work with children, if going to a jail to work with incarcerated people should be free or should be paid.
Però, come ho scelto io, credo di scegliere anche voi nel rivendicare che lavorare in questo campo, il settore dell'arte e della creatività, ha una ricaduta e ha un valore economico. È giusto riconoscere queste cose, perché semplicemente contribuire al benessere della cittadinanza è grande e netto fattore economico si mette in discussione.
But in the same way which he made a choice with respect to acknowledging that this artistic work has an impact on the lives of the people and on the welfare of the people, I think you should also acknowledge that this line of work has an economic impact which is not monetary but which is in the welfare of the people.
Proprio non preoccupatevi, non sono un figlio dei fiori che è rimasto ai tempi del amiamoci tutti.
And then fear not, I'm not a hippie that's remained in the ages of the 60s where everybody loved each other.
Credo anch'io che vada riconosciuta la possibilità di diventare impresa al mondo dello spettacolo di gioco.
I also definitely think that the world of theatrical and artistic performance can be an enterprise.
E sto lavorando perché tante realtà, stiamo lavorando perché tante realtà diventino imprese e perché venga riconosciuta la creatività.
And we are working so that many of these situations actually become an enterprise, become a business.
Però sicuramente soffro quando il nostro settore viene visto come un settore superfluo. Qualcuno diceva che non genera, che non fa mangiare nessuno. E è una bugia, perché se pensate solamente in Italia ci sono molte persone, grazie a Dio, che mangiano grazie all'arte e alla creatività.
And I really suffer when I hear people saying that art and creativity do not give you the bread to live, because especially in Italy, luckily enough, there's many people that can survive through this and do generate economic, direct, monetary value from arts, creativity and culture.
Vi ringrazio per il saluto di cuore e spero che qualcuno di voi, tutti anche, accettino l'appello di Ivan a venire a confrontarci, perché secondo noi la creatività è anche quello di sperimentarci nel fare, oltre che nel dire.
So a heartfelt thank you, and a very high hope that you take our invitation that also Ivan proposed to join us and to experiment with yourselves what it means to be creative, because we think creativity is beyond just talking about it, it's also doing it.
Ringrazio i vostri insegnanti, ringrazio voi e spero di non aver annoiato.
Thanks, and I hope I didn't bore you.
The dates.
Allora, volevo dire soltanto per chiunque di voi fosse interessato, magari prende contatto con Lorenzo e poi facciamo un incontro per chi è interessato al progetto Incanti. Mentre la sua informazione che vi volevo dare, sabato alle ore 17 farò una dimostrazione di lavoro dove tutto quello che ho detto lo dimostro attraverso il fare.
Dove?
Alla biblioteca, come si chiama?
Piazza Dante.
Piazza Dante, nella sala della biblioteca.
So if you want to be involved into this, you get in touch with me, Ivan Hitler, of course, and we get in touch, we hook you up to Ivan and to Fausto. Also at 17 this Saturday, you will in some way demonstrate this philosophy of his and this way of working in Piazza Dante at 17 this Saturday. In the library of Piazza Dante.
Per quelli invece che non desiderano, non vogliono partecipare a Incanti, ma vogliono solamente vederlo, vi ricordiamo che la data è il 16 dicembre a Piedi Castello, alle Gallerie di Piedi Castello, però lo spettacolo se non piove e non pioverà. Della piazza di parte della piazza di Piedi Castello e va avanti di 2 gallerie.
And the main show, if you just want to see it and watch it, it's on the 16th of December at 17 in Piedi Castello, in the square of Piedi Castello.
Chi non lo sapesse, Piedi Castello è l'unico rione di Trento che è al di là del fiume.
Piedi Castello being the one you have to cross the bridge to get where the galleries are, the tunnels and so on.
Thank you. I want to say a couple of things to connect to what we are actually studying here. As one, first I want to thank you because I believe one of the biggest, the richest people are actually the rock stars, if you look at it, or some of the actors. So creativity and art makes huge economic value, And part of the enterprises that are made are created for the value of entertaining people and appealing to their inner part. Okay? So this is one thing. So I think there's a lot of economic and also social value, as you said. Because I will say two more things, comments. Recently, I read an article, and I will forward it to you. I think you've heard about in Dubai, they gave citizenship to the robot, to Sophia. Do you know that there is a next level to this? She now has expressed that her highest dream is to have a child who will be called this and who will be able to complement and to put together the two worlds. The world of the machines and the artificial intelligence and the human beings. Because the one thing that differentiates human beings is really that part of being able to be creative and capturing to the soul, to the inner soul. So this is why art and creativity is going to stay mainstream for economic value as long as we are human beings. And the last comment I would like to make on this is that it's been often, when I was designing the curricula for the American University I was telling you I was working with, we said, let's have a class in the arts. It was theater, music, and dancing. And the first time when they said, because I had some friends, I happen to like those things. I've been performing singing and I've been dancing, so I said, let's have this class. Everyone said, are you crazy? Class in the arts, in dancing? For first year, bachelor students, they're studying serious things. And I said, yes, let's see. Do you know what? At the end of the first year, everyone wanted to take that class. And there wasn't a single space. And we opened 3 more classes based on this. Because we are human. And we need to express. In fact, the people who have the smartest or with the highest IQ have the greatest need to express through arts. They're some of the best artists. Einstein was a great physicist, and he was a great musician too. So there is a very clear connection between the two, and that is why we have said that one of the spaces for social entrepreneurship and one of the bigger spaces where enterprises will be prospering will be at the cross-section of addressing some of these values that are maybe not so tangible in the space of arts, in the space of addressing the human need to stay human. Culture, sympathy, empathy to the other people, and preserving the social capital that we have here. So we are closing on this. Thank you again for being with us. All right, maybe there will be one person that wants to really explore that opportunity of becoming an artist sideways as another profession than the current one. Okay, thank you all. That's for tomorrow we have you.